and welcome to Just a Sharp Scratch the Exodus. I'm very lucky to be joined by my co-host Alicia Wright, but also a fantastic guest, Kachusha. So how are you? Good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I am well, thank you.
Oh, it's been some time, but I'm glad that we've got you on the show because we've got some fantastic questions and you've got some fantastic information as well to give us for what's going on with your journey. Obviously, you said you're not practicing as a midwife anymore, but you're very passionate about the role and still kind of pioneering it and kind of being there to support midwives as well. So I'm going to hand you over to my fantastic co-host because I know she's going to kick things off with today's episode.
So on the extra dose, we like to ask an icebreaker question before we jump into our intense questions. So I'd like you to pick a number, please, between 1 and 200.
I'll pick 100.
Good. Okay. Let me
Right down the middle. Right down the middle.
Right down the middle. Okay. So, this is quite a good one. What was your least favourite food as a child? And do you still not like it now?
Soya chunks. So I'm not sure if you call them soya chunks as well, but there's this soya meat-like kind of arrangement. I actually thought it
Okay,
was
yeah.
meat. And then when I ate it, it was soya. I was like, no, I'm not going to eat this.
Do you still not like it?
No, I don't.
I say it's
Would that
interesting.
be similar to like tofu? Is it very similar to tofu? I would say is that kind of thing, or is it kind of like corn, where it's not really meat, it's just pretending to be meat? I suppose that's what it could be similar to as. Yeah.
It's for vegetarians mostly, but also where I'm coming from as an SDS, Seventh-day Adventist. So they cook that mostly on Sabbath. And you know where you want meat and then you eat something that's close to meat. You're just like,
No.
No, thank you, not
Instant.
today.
No.
As a child, I always hated olives, and I still hate olives. And there's not many foods that I don't like, but olives, I just can't get.
overrated.
I just can't get with them. I get jealous sometimes if I see people eating them. I'm like, oh, it looks fancy, especially if people are having nice tapas and having it with. And I'm like, no. And I go to try it, and I'm like, no, still can't do it. What about you, Martin?
No. For me, it's probably fish fingers. So it's these little bits of like cod in kind of breaded crumbs. They look like fingers, even though fish don't have fingers. But I think I had them so much as a child in sandwiches. The problem is I don't like them now. I can't stand them now. And as a kid, I was like, oh, I would force myself to eat it because that's what your mum's made you for lunch. And I was like,
Nice
yeah,
of you.
no.
My children don't do that.
Well, that was, yeah. I
I
don't
mean, I'm
even.
like, can I just get the whole fish? Like, where's the fish?
Yeah, where's the actual fish?
But also, I'm starting to think, what kind of fish have fingers that you're feeding me? Because I'm just thinking that's not right.
Yes.
Do you children eat fish fingers, Martin? Do your children eat fish fingers?
Yes, and I can't stand the smell. I have to leave. Just really, really queasy.
Traumatized
so
from childhood.
I am. I think I need some sort of counselling and some support. PTSD over fish fingers,
Get some
basically.
BT. I'm sorry, right now you can enjoy a fish finger sandwich again.
Bless you. Right, let's crack on with the show. So I think I've got the first question up. So here we go. So let's start with your journey really into midwifery, how it all started, and what was the kind of specific moment or kind of story that sparked your decision to enter this profession?
Great. So I've always tried to link, firstly, my personality with someone in the family because I think growing as an extreme extrovert, I always found myself in a space where like everyone in our culture would be like, hey, female, can you tone down? Can you not speak too much? Can you not be hyped? Like, what's wrong with you? So when I was choosing a career, nursing wasn't one of them because my dad wanted me to be a nurse, but I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew to be a nurse, you needed to be a good person. And back then, they were training nurses first, and then you have to do your midwifery, as compared to now where midwives can be trained directly. So he had to call a whole group of people to come and counsel me. So I did it because of him. But with the midwifery, I learned that my great-grandmother was one of the midwives in Zambia who were trained. So that then inspired me and gave me a drive to say, I never met her. I never seen her work. I've never seen her written in any history. So if I have to take it up, can I carry on the work that she did? Hence doing midwifery.
Wow. I do as well. Hmm.
Like I mentioned, really struggling to fit in, to figure out. to figure out life. And being a female, being the firstborn, it's been a journey where you have to learn things on your own. And so I felt, why should another child go through this when I'm there? If I can read, I can learn more, I have the power and the privilege, why not take it up? So I've always loved to like take care of like younger people, but then later on I learned what that meant, which was mentorship. And so I picked it up and I took the angle that I think I saw the much impact. You can change things at adolescent age. After 25, it's a bit like they have to make their own choice. So I felt between 5, 10, 15, I could make my impact. Someone would listen to me. I'm a bit like small by stature, so also I could relate more because everyone felt like I was their peer, so that gave me leverage. But just really to ensure that no one goes through so much pain when you've gone through it, and you could just shape and help them. Yeah.
Perfect, because even though you're saying you're small in stature, but you have such a big impact on what you do, and I know that for facts because I stalk you on LinkedIn, so yeah, I do. I'm watching what you get up to and things like that. But yeah, honestly, you make such a difference. It's brilliant. So you've launched the Nursing and Midwife Evidence Based Impact Challenge. What kind of drove you to create this initiative?
So over the years, when I compare the different salary scales, Zambia, America, UK, you find that outside our country, nurses get a lot of money because they're able to demonstrate what they're doing. In our country, it's an issue of, it's my word against the other health professionals. I would be tired, but I wouldn't demonstrate what being tired looked like on paper. So that helped to really define what I wanted others to learn that can be done. And then also, I've always been passionate around like when you watch awards, like Samuel L. Jackson, he's got over, I don't know how many awards, and he's what. Like, I've always wanted like someone to talk about me and say, well, this is a midwife coming with over 2,000 deliveries without any maternal mortality and has been able to demonstrate this. And that's profile to really just inspire and motivate that one person to continue doing what they're doing, because people see, but they may not say. But if you capture your own wins, it's even more fulfilling. So I figured coining a challenge would help to learn how to document deliberately, but also link it with the day-to-day tasks so that one may not only feel that they are going in for bedside nursing, deliveries, family planning, but really contributing to a bigger system. So being able to take a step back and demonstrate what that looks like was one of the other reasons why I coined that. And then also, we have the Nurses and Midwives Gala that happens every first Friday in December. I felt that's another platform to really amplify voices, but then with evidence to say we had a challenge, it had objectives, it had lessons, it had learnings, it cuts across like different themes from universal health coverage to sustainable development goals to system strengthening. Someone had taken their time to ensure that they demonstrate, take part in this challenge, and here they are, let them receive their award.
Very inspirational. It really is.
So the challenge currently is not yet anchored through the ministry or any body, because we're trying to like pilot and learn from the first year to say what would interest nurses to take part in this challenge. Because as you know, midwives, nurses are always busy. So what would really inspire them? What would motivate them? Coming in from the space where I do behavior-centered design and human-centered design approaches. So really trying to firm up a campaign that will really, a challenge that will drive people to engage without really me pushing, is something that I'm trying to establish. But the way it's designed is that it speaks into the different health strategies and also the health policies that are in Zambia, but also the sustainable development goals and the different policies that are being released like by ICM. So it's a monthly challenge with one theme, but taken weekly. So, for example, May, the theme was gender because of Sustainable Development Goal number 5. So in it, we're unpacking what gender is, and then also the participants were designing a campaign to demonstrate in their day-to-day life, how do they prime gender, how do they integrate, how do they check that they are capturing disaggregated data, and then it then speaks to the overall picture of, did they capture anything gender related, and then also May, there's a menstrual hygiene day. What did they do to amplify their voices, raise awareness, but also advocate in their own space? So it's the goal is to integrate in the already existing day-to-day work of a nurse and a midwife. During reports, are they aware that they're doing something related to system strengthening? As they take care of the patients, do they know that it's actually aligned to the universal health coverage of where we want to see the health system be? So it's weaved in such a way that it will speak to the different policies, and then it will be able to help a nurse and midwife actualize that their role, them documenting, is actually linked to a system. And so by strengthening the different building blocks in nursing and midwifery, like capacity building, infection prevention and control, it will be able to then speak to the bigger picture. Of course, really haven't figured out what that would look like at large scale, but from the nitty-gritties, it gives a clear path that someone will not just go for work to just give medication, give a report and go back, but they will go for work, contribute to the different goals that are available, and then strengthen the system, because I believe systems are made by people. So if they shift their mindset, their attitude, that will then help to really demonstrate what a nurse does on a day-to-day, but this time being deliberate to actually show that this is what they are doing.
No, you're so right there. Beating to that resistance, and that's what the key thing is. It's all to do with it's the sport, it's the patient's outcome, isn't it? That's what you're doing it for, and kind of being able to do that and go for that. Oh,
Yeah.
we've lost Elle. Elle's disappeared. She's gone off the grid.
Yeah, I think it's a network.
It's dodgy network at the moment. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure she'll rejoin in a minute. It just randomly appear as we're answering another question. So we'll crack on, and hopefully she'll rejoin us at some point. So how does the challenge sidetrack? So mentorship is a key theme in your work. So why is this so crucial, especially in midwifery? And what does the meaningful mentorship kind of look like?
So, I've always struggled, there's a lot of expectation when you're done with school. I remember my experience. I was done with school between getting my results and getting in full employment. I was made an intern. We applied for internship and were accepted. And then we were given responsibility, like you're a registered nurse. Here is the community. And I remember my first experience was conducting a delivery, and this lady had like a tear. So I did repair based on what I knew, but then I was so scared that I had to tell the in charge of the facility to say, please, when you see that woman, could you observe her? Let me know if she's okay. So it was in that moment that I believe that continuous guiding is critical in midwifery, like at every stage. When someone is coming in, when they've reached their mid career, when they upgrade, just ensuring that best practices are shared and also continuous guidance is critical. I've learned over time that with our profession, we risk losing lives. It's not like a car. You hit somewhere and you have the ability to fix it. It's a human being. One simple mistake will kill someone. So I believe continuous guidance is critical, because that then builds confidence, enables sharing best practices, but also just gives that consistency, continuity, and sustainability of best practices.
And like I said, and one of the things with your mentorship is that you obviously spoke about was on your TED talk that you were involved in, which I have watched. And I think to date it has over like 40 odd million people have watched it as well around the world, which is unbelievable. And so how did you get involved in this TED talk, and, and what was it like, and things like that?
I guess it's being intentional. I've always wanted to speak on the TED platform. Like after I found it, I was so in love. Like I could just check any theme and you would find it. And one thing that was striking was I never saw anyone in uniform. And then I never saw, like, in the nurses' uniform, there were pilots, I think police people, like military
Hmm.
people, but I never saw anyone in the nurses' uniform. And then when I tried to check like midwifery and mentorship, I would never find any. So I was like, this is my big goal. So 10 years I have done my work as I leave, transitioning to the wash sector, of course, nothing really moves because you have to use certain models. And really, the career you start with is what forms you and makes you who you are. I felt that would be the best platform to speak and just share the importance of mentorship in midwifery. And also just to say that I'm doing my master's in public health. I didn't go the wash way. I wanted to create evidence. So my thesis is around the impacts of mentorship on safe motherhood, just to create that evidence and say my advocacy for the longest time can be substantiated, yet to see the results out of it. So I applied and everyone was excited on the interview. They were like, we've never had this and would really want to see how this story goes. Could you share some of your mentors? Could you coin it? And I started the process. Actually thought I would not manage because I was so busy, but I got a very good curator. I actually had two curators and they were all patient because they saw that I spoke from a point of passion. So they really just guided me, and there I was, panicked even when going to stage, but I was told it's okay. We had to frame my call to action on stage because we didn't have a call to action. I was like, so what's the purpose of your talk? And we had to figure it out in that minute. So yeah.
Wow. No pressure.
But I bet once you
No, that's
started
great. And like I
talking
said,
about it,
I've listened to it.
didn't
We'll
it?
link the.
I missed that.
Sorry, I think my mic is going in and out. I'm not sure what's happening. But yeah, I can imagine that once you started talking, because you were so passionate, it
Yeah.
was easy. It just came out of your mouth, you know. So
Yeah,
it's
true.
what's inside. Sometimes it's not about preparing, is it? It's what's inside. And when we have so much to say and are so passionate, it just comes out. So I'm sure that was amazing. I didn't go back and watch it though. I will definitely be watching it
Yeah,
today.
it
Yeah,
felt nice.
So we have got.
brilliant. Right. I think it's back to you, Alicia.
It's back to me now. So, was there a moment where you almost gave up on launching the challenge, or a time where you felt like it might not work? And what was it that kept you going?
So I freaked out when the designer made everything and I was like, this is real. I'm trying to create a brand and also consistency between the current work that I'm doing and my previous work. I think it's always been a scare. Like I've been questioned several times to say, who are you? Are you a midwife or are you a hygiene officer? And it's in that moment that I thought, this is big, this is real. And what does that mean for me at professional level? How, like, if I had to, what inconsistencies will people see in me when they see me move from nursing midwifery into the wash sector? But then I just went for it because I think I understood what I was doing. I come from a space where I think beyond seeing and being part of the process and the system of nursing and midwifery, I'm a mom. And then I had a bad experience one time when I had like a gyne case. And so I felt I'm a very good midwife. I treat people well. Why should I experience a certain level of delay in my care? Because I was almost a near miss in 2022. So I then took that experience and said, you know what? I experienced that because I still need to do my work in this profession. I need to guide others. And if I wasn't a professional and I didn't know people, what about someone else who doesn't have the voice and who doesn't have the privilege and the power that I have to simply say, you know what, I'm going to call someone and they're going to attend to me simply because there were a bit of gaps in the system. So I thought, you know what, I'm still going to push this and eventually it will figure itself out. Like it was a fear I had, but then eventually it's just easy for people to pinpoint and just say, okay, this is passion and this is her work. And either way, it will still unfold. So I went for it.
Well done. That is amazing because it takes courage to do something like this. It takes absolute courage and the believing in yourself and the system that you can make a change. That's amazing.
I think it's back to you, Alicia. Bring you on number 7.
Sorry, everything keeps freezing.
So,
So sorry. I don't know what's happening. Everything just keeps stopping and freezing. It is me. Yeah. So what are some of the toughest challenges as a midwife in Zambia? Like what would general midwives face in Zambia today? And how are you working on changing that?
I think currently the challenge is just the lack of employment because we have so many midwives that are unemployed simply because I think the employment rates is not as compared to the number of midwives that are on the market. So that then becomes a challenge. However, different associations like the Midwives Association and Zambia Union of Nurses and Midwives, they're still advocating for more midwives to be employed. And also part of the system, the recruitment is happening. But I think one thing that we have lacked is also different innovations around midwifery, like, for example, the group midwives, having those initiatives, really being clear private practice. What does that mean for a midwife? So still yet to figure out other ways we could have midwives in the system, or even as entrepreneurs to strengthen that gap. But I think that's the biggest gap being faced, other than the issues of having, supplies, distances, where the mothers are coming from to the healthcare facility, water, sanitation, and hygiene gaps. Although with that, there's a presidential directive that all healthcare facilities should have wash services, but it's something that's still going. It's not like an immediate change. So still advocating for that, and we're pushing the agenda. At least from where I sit, I still contribute in that front because I'm in the wash sector now, and I'm promoting hygiene and infection prevention and control. So just adopting behavior change practices to ensure that women do not have sepsis post-delivery, children do not have infections post-delivery is what's really the gap and the challenge. But the biggest is unemployment rates. They are quite high.
That's yeah. I didn't realize that was something that was happening in Zambia and stuff. The fact that your shortage of jobs and stuff for midwives. I just want to ask you, so how do you see midwives kind of shaping health policies and leading change within Zambia's health system? Because obviously you're doing something with WASH and things like that. Have you got any other? Do you know of any other midwives that are kind of trying to change policies as well?
Yes, I think through the Midwives Association of Zambia, it's being under the International Confederation of Midwives. You find that when there are new policies, they do share links and we're able to take part, have our voices heard, but also at local level, there's a call for midwives to participate. So those already in the system, like, are consulted, but of course we need more midwives to really just take up the stand and advocate for patients. But so far there is a link, and there has been progress made around midwives taking part and really contributing into different policies. I think also when we were developing the global guidelines for hand hygiene as a country program, we're able to invite the Midwives Association, and midwives came through. Although we need to strengthen like academia so that the midwives in schools in universities are able to contribute well in research and the different protocols and policies. But I think so far we have, they would say something else because they sit at a different level. But from where I'm sitting, I think there's quite a balance. We are learning on how to be out there as compared to where we were, because usually it was just like high level, national level. But this time you're able to see like a midwife from a facility level taking part in protocols, designing curriculum, and advocating. I think through platforms like the Young Midwives Leaders, I've seen Zambian midwives take part in mentorship and also the different like global regional platforms. That was something that was a bit strange, but this time we're opening up.
Definitely one step at a time. And I'm glad that you said that they're involved in so much and pioneering and changing the future for Zambia. So from your perspective, what kind of lessons can other countries learn from Zambia's midwifery journey? And what lessons have you learned from elsewhere that have kind of shaped your approach?
So I have had like direct contact with midwives from Cameroon. Martha, like, done very great work. She calls her space the For Moms and Baby Foundation. From her, I've learned resilience and how to take mentorship to actually paid mentorship. For Zambia, I think it's around navigating the different challenges for a rural and an urban midwife, but also really understanding and learning through the climate impacts on the country. Last year, we faced a drought, which was something unique. And based on the different themes, we're able to actually unpack and put the midwife at the center of the patient. So that is something that I feel we could cross-learn, but also the continuous adapting of a midwife for not only, uh, primary health care, but also just being at the center of ensuring that the mother and the baby plus her family is taken care of.
So You've actually spoke about working with younger midwives, the young midwives. What about working with them has either surprised you or shocked you or even inspired you in some way?
I think the difference in, I would call it our practice, because I think I trained like 15 years ago. So I could say our practice was a bit like different. So our previously they would train like 40 midwives, but our cohort was one of the first big cohorts, which was like 80. That's times two of the original recruitment. And then this time, like I would hear of a class of over like 200 midwives. So for me, that looks at how are they assimilating the work? What's the workload for the tutor? And would I trust this midwife to attend to me when they just finished school? Hence, even more desire to really engage around mentorship, because then the number of midwives that were enrolled were more than, how I trained. So for me, it was a unique situation, but then they still turned out well. Like you'd see different graduations, different posts, and their enthusiasm, like they are on Facebook. We have over like, I think 20 pages for just nurse advocates, midwives advocate, like just that energy is encouraging, because back then I think we're a secret, like hash hash kind of profession beyond the word do not. So with the coming of social media, you're able to see like a shift around how things are done. Recently, the Miss Zambia was won by, should be a nurse. And that's something that, in our profession, we'd be like, we don't do that here. So, and it was accepted like that, posted on the Ministry of Health page. And we're like, okay, so there is diversity, there's growth, there's adapting in the profession. So those are some things I've been able to pick up and learn from.
So that is amazing, isn't it? Seeing the growth of just a change of things that are accepted as well is kind of like a big step forward, isn't it? And accepting, I guess, change and knowing that it can work, but just in a different way, essentially.
So if we forward 5 years, what are your kind of biggest hopes for midwifery in Zambia and across the region?
I think it's just being able to see how do we leverage on artificial intelligence in our profession. Like, what would that look like? Monitoring of a woman in labor. What would our pathograph look like? Making decisions, and what would WASH look like? Because water sanitation and hygiene is in the midwifery space, code infection prevention and control. But being able to see that we have indicators, even on the pathograph, to tick off, like, have you washed your hands before attending to a patient? You tick off with evidence. I would like to see that angle of artificial intelligence integrated, WASH integrated in midwifery, so that we're able to reduce the number of emergencies, but also quick decision making, improvement in, documentation, and just being able to be at the same level as other professionals, because I think ours is a bit traditional. There are things that we have been doing for the longest time that we haven't moved, hence making even at, because I believe your profession forms your lifestyle to some extent. So how do we really, really get inspired to live? Even as we do our work as midwives. So just being able to see that blend and seeing another, so I'm not sure, but there was a woman I saw, there was a midwife who's being created to be part of the Guinea Book of Records. I would want to see more of midwives being primed and really being put in those books, because we innovate a lot of things. Just seeing someone, a child, survive, anxieties of a woman, that's stress on us as well. So really seeing more midwives take up different roles, responsibilities, but also are able to be primed in different platforms would be something that I would really, really be proud of.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Definitely something to aim for, isn't it? It's good.
yeah, for any like younger midwives or aspiring midwives that want to really make a change in this profession, like you just said, do something different, use their skills in other ways. But somebody who is looking at either becoming a midwife or who is already a midwife that really wants to make a change as you've done, what would your words of advice be for them?
I think it's something that I've been consistent around, is you have to walk the talk. You can't be a midwife if you haven't walked through midwifery. I learned this the hard way. In my third year of work, I was in labor ward and I was telling this woman, you're going to be fine. She told me, do you have children? I was like, no. She was like, wait, until you get yours, you'll be confident to say push. So it's from that experience that I learned that you have to know that you walk as a midwife, you live as a midwife, you speak as a midwife. But until you unite your profession and who you are, it's very difficult to come out and emerge successful. You will just be following the crowd. And midwifery is no profession to follow the crowd. You have to be show up right, take part in the activities, make the decision. You do not wait for anyone to make the decision. I was coined by a lot of doctors that I was called nursing officer even when I was a student, because I made the decisions and I spoke up, because I knew the moment you don't speak up, someone is going to die, and you would have no conversation when that happens. For you to sleep well at night, you need to have spoken your mind, regardless of whether it was right or wrong. Just let it out. And using your intuition is very critical for judgment. Just sharing your thoughts can save a life. So yeah, just walking the talk.
Yeah, being courageous.
Definitely.
It's having courage to stand up and speak, isn't it? Can I just ask you, how did that make you feel when that lady said to you, if you've have you had a child, and you said no, and she said wait? Do you think she was talking to you in a way that how can you have these skills, or how can you advise me on something you haven't experienced? Do you believe that, to be an amazing midwife, you need to have children? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
No, to be an amazing midwife doesn't mean you need to have children, but you need to be confident. So in that moment, I thought I needed to have answered differently. Well, being honest was good, but maybe I would have answered better, such that it wouldn't have hit me in that way, because it was in that moment that her comment was one of trying to get empathy, I think, from my end, but also it was a good point for me, because I then later on reflected on how do I answer better to still give hope to this woman. So having children is no benchmark to be a good midwife, but having the right sets of skills to respond well, especially if someone is anxious, was my learning from that day.
I mean, I'm exactly the same. I was a midwife for over 3 years before I had children, and I looked really young when I was a newly qualified midwife, and to not help me any further, I had braces. So everybody thought I was a teenager. And the amount of times I walked into a delivery room and a lady would say, out, no way, I've got children that look older than you, no way. And I was like, but I'm really good. I'm a really good midwife. And I genuinely believe I was a really good midwife before children and a really good midwife after children. I don't feel like it opened my eyes slightly, and I could say, oh, I know exactly what an epidural feels like, or I can tell you exactly what it feels like as the head's crowning. I can tell you exactly what a cesarean section feels like. So I have that level of empathy at a different level because I've actually felt it physically. However, I think my knowledge base, my skill, my compassion, my empathy was exactly the same before I had children to after. So I think it's like a lot. I've had that so many times pre-children. But if you haven't had children, how can you coach me through this? How can you know how I'm feeling? But we have doctors, don't we, that haven't been through every single illness or problem that they're treating. You don't have to have had that disease or had that problem to be able to treat it. So I think sometimes it's like you said, it's a way of answering that question with confidence, with compassion, and building that level of trust and professional relationship between the midwife and the mother, the woman, and showing that actually I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm here to care for you, and I want a safe outcome for you and your baby, and I'm experienced and competent enough to help you achieve that. So I think, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's the way you answer the question for sure, not having children's completely irrelevant, because we have some really amazing male midwives, so I think,
Midwives.
yeah, amazing male midwives,
Yeah, it's true. Didn't think of that way.
yeah, so I think, and majority of obstetricians at the trusts I've worked for, we do have some amazing female obstetricians, but the majority of our obstetricians are also male, and so yeah, I think it's just a way of answering the question. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said there for sure.
But also, I think coined with skills, like you've mentioned, I remember my population was over 5,000, and everyone would just come with babies born on the way. So when I did a community diagnosis, because I learned that you have to be embedded in the community to get the truth, I was told you're too young. That's why they don't come. So they would rather come with a child and say we delivered on the way. So what then changed that narrative was the woman came, she delivered from home, came with postpartum hemorrhage, and I actually managed that woman, then referred her. And then they said, no, she's actually skillful. She knows what she's doing. And they started coming. So it's about skills. It's about practice. It's not the theory. It's the practice. Yeah.
And proving yourself as well, isn't it? And having proof in what you do, and people sharing the story as well about you afterwards in positive. It's also really important.
Yeah, because that's then going to have a knock-on effect for other people
Word
talking
of
about
mouth.
their experiences. Had this amazing midwife, and then they're going to give that confidence and get people to come and see you and stuff. So yeah, fantastic, amazing, brilliant. So we've kind of come to the end of our show now, really, but there's always a question we get to give to our guests before they leave, which has nothing to do with their career and their journey and the podcast itself. We have our own playlist, which is full of lots of different music episodes and stuff like that, and songs just for us, for any healthcare professional, any midwife, anyone that's kind of had their 4th long day, delivering their 100th baby just to celebrate. So what song can we add to our playlist for you?
Okay, so the song that speaks to me is I don't know the author, but the one that's played after soca. Is it "Stand Up for the Champion"?
Okay,
And
yeah.
and the line is, "I was born to be the best, number one, and nothing else." Like that just clears everything.
It speaks to you. Yeah, I
I
love
know
that.
that sounds like an epic song to add. It does, doesn't it? No, that is brilliant. Yeah, we'll make sure we add that to our playlist. It'd be good to to listen along. And Kachusha, thank you ever so much for spending the morning with us and talking to us about your amazing journey and how you're so still passionate for midwives and still kind of pioneering and waving that flag for them and going forward and changing policies for Zambia as well and making a difference to everyone. So thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
so.
having me.
Thank you.